This episode of the D-Lew podcast is brought to you by Happy Wrap. You ever wanted to design your very own gift wrapping paper? Now is your chance to do so. Whether it's for the holiday season, weddings, anniversaries, birthdays, no matter what the occasion calls for, you can use Happy Wrap to wrap your gifts. As a matter of fact, you can even design notebooks, greeting cards, gift tags, and so much more. You can sign up today at happy.thedlewpodcast.com and use the promo code DLEW to get your 10% discount at checkout. Again, that's happy.thedlewpodcast.com and use promo code DLEW to get your 10% discount at checkout. By Simpler Hair Color. Hey guys, are you tired of using that drugstore hair dye brand that isn't getting the job done? If you want to use a great product to cover those grays, have no fear, Simpler Hair Color is here. No mixing, no dripping, no mess. It's super easy to use, whether you're a beginner or a pro. Go to simpler.thedlewpodcast.com and use promo code DLEW10 for your 10% discount at checkout. Again, that's simpler.thedlewpodcast.com and use my promo code DLEW10 for your 10% discount at checkout. And by WWE Shop with Fanatics. Get your favorite WWE Superstars merchandise and wear them proud with superstars like the OTC Roman Reigns, Rhea Ripley, the Second City Saint CM Punk, John Cena, Main Event Jey Uso, the American Nightmare Cody Rhodes, and so many more. Oh, by the way, they got some really cool championship belts in there as well. So go to wrestling.thedlewpodcast.com. Again, that's wrestling.thedlewpodcast.com so you can go to WWE Shop with Fanatics. This podcast is a Believe Network and Siete production. Another edition of the D-Lew podcast powered by Believe Network. I'm your host, Derrick T. Lewis, and I hope the week is treating you all absolutely wonderful. This week, it's going to be another short episode, just really giving my opinions about this past weekend's Backlash premium live event that took place in St. Louis. But I would be remiss if I didn't talk about what happened on Sunday. The wrestling world heard about the unfortunate and untimely passing of an ECW icon, legend, trendsetter, trailblazer, innovator, the one and only Sabu, who passed away at the age of 60. And, I was actually on my way to my mother's actually to do some Mother's Day stuff. And, of course, when you had a red light and, of course, you get a notification across your screen, I saw it and I didn't want to believe it until, I was at a place where I could park my car and, go through, social media and obviously seeing outlets like PW Insider, Fightful, and, all the main news sources for professional wrestling, were to confirm that Sabu had unfortunately had passed away. And when I think about Sabu, when I think about ECW, I think about, you know, 16, 17-year-old Derrick, back in 1995, when I first discovered ECW on a random Saturday night, as a matter of fact, flicking the channels. Well, I should have been asleep, but you know how it is when you're a teenager. But all of a sudden, I come across Madison Square Garden Network, and there I see this wrestling, promotion. I'm just like, what the heck is this? And you want to talk about just a very gritty type of look. It wasn't as sleek as, WWF at the time or WCW. It was very underground. It had that underground feel to it. And once I did my history, once I did my research, and I found out about the origin of ECW and some of the pioneers that ultimately started that company. And Sabu was one of those guys that they were really pushing, to be the face of that company once upon a time. And I got caught on around the time when he had left ECW to go to Japan and kind of left the company high and dry a little bit. And all you saw every week was Taz, a reestablished Taz, because he was known as the Tasmaniac once upon a time. and they repackaged him into this almost UFC shoot fighter type guy, the one that you we've all know and love. And he will call out Sabu every single week. He will call out Sabu every single week. And it was at November to Remember. It was the night before WWF Survivor Series, and Two Core Scorpio, who was leaving the company to go work for WWE, he was debuting the next night as Flash Funk. He lost a loser leaves town match to the late Louis Piccoli, and Taz comes in the ring, and they had their little verbal spat, and I think the line that Taz left him with was "See you later, Flash." And then all of a sudden he starts calling out Sabu and Sabu, and the lights go out. And Joey Styles sold this perfectly. He said, "Someone's in the ring, someone's in the ring," and all you saw was Sabu pointing up at the heavens, because he does that for his late uncle, the Sheik, the original Sheik, and that was drama, and that was really a year and a half of them milking this, and that led to their first pay per view in April 13th, 1997, the ECW's first pay per view, Barely Legal. And granted, there was the triple threat match for the heavyweight championship with Terry Funk, Stevie Richards, and Raven. And that was the main event of Barely Legal. But everybody was looking forward to the one-on-one encounter with Sabu and Taz. And man, it just to me, it's just like Sabu over the years is like he was the innovator of so many things. Once upon a time, the late Chris Kanyon called himself the innovator of offense, but there was another guy too that was so innovative, but he was using weapons. The first guy to use a table spot. He was doing tables and he was using chairs and everything. If you guys never heard of Sabu, if you've never seen his work, I urge you to go to YouTube, you go to Peacock. If you're out of the United States, go to Netflix and you can see all the WWE programming on there, and look up Sabu, look up his work, and he will definitely be missed and by all of us, wrestling content creators, wrestling fans, and I'm sure all the guys and girls in the business that knew him, that worked with him, he'll definitely be missed. All right, well, I'm going to talk about Backlash, the Backlash PLE that took place, like I said, this past Saturday. And huge shout out to Jobber Tears podcast, Sir Wilkins and the crew. They had their monthly get togethers at Legends in New York City. So I had an opportunity to go up there and show them some love and watch some wrestling, with some people, which is really, really cool. But the first match on the card was the Fatal Four Way match for the United States Championship with the champion Jacob Fatu, LA Knight, Damian Priest, and Drew McIntyre. And let me just say, the match was great. And honestly, I had made a mention to something last week when I said I had a feeling that this match was going to peel off into two pieces where Drew and Damian Priest were going to do their thing and fight outside the ring. And of course, LA Knight and Jacob Fatu were going to do their thing, outside the ring and inside the ring. And the big spot was Damian Priest doing the South of Heaven choke slam onto a table in the crowd with on Drew McIntyre, and it kind of took those two out of the match. And of course, you got LA Knight and Jacob Fatu fighting outside the ring, but all of a sudden, Solo Sikoa shows up, and I'm just like, okay, what's going on now? I'm thinking that Solo was going to probably cost LA Knight the match. LA Knight, this match and this opportunity, but next thing you know, somebody blindsides LA Knight, cross the railing, and who is it? Jeff Cobb. The newly signed Jeff Cobb, who just recently left New Japan Pro Wrestling. We have been anticipating his arrival. What he was gonna do, we didn't know, and now we know he's aligned himself with Solo Sikoa, and of course, he does the job on LA Knight, beating him up outside the ring, throws him in the ring. Jacob Fatu hits him with the moonsault, 1, 2, 3, and Jacob Fatu retains the United States Championship. But what the cool storytelling part about this match is the fact that Jacob Fatu had this look on his face. It's like, who is this and why is he here? And Jacob not Jacob, but Solo was kind of saying, "Hey, he's cool, he's cool, he's cool," but Jacob wasn't trying to hear it. So in the eventual turn, I feel with Solo turning on Jacob, it's coming, but we just gotta wait. We just gotta wait and see. Not when we say, but unfortunately when WWE says. Which, by the way, WWE is having this new series on Netflix. It's really taking you behind the scenes, behind the curtain, about what really goes on in the writers' room of of WWE, whether writing for SmackDown, Raw, or some of the PLEs. And man, as much as a historian I am when it comes to wrestling, wrestling purist, I'm kind of iffy on it because I like the mystique of pro wrestling of not knowing. I love the mystique of wait and see and not forcing the issue. You know what I mean? Like some fans think that they can force companies to change their minds. In some instances, it has happened, but I'm kind of against it. But I'm kind of like, well, it's almost like going behind the scenes of a movie. You know what I mean? And just kind of going over if they're showing stunts, if they're showing all these other things, it kind of gives you that, I guess, in that mindset. So that could be it, but we'll see. We'll definitely see what happens from there. But the next match, and to me, was match of the night for the women's Intercontinental Championship with the champion Lyra Valkyria defending against Becky Lynch. They did a tremendous job building this match. They did a great job, Mike with the mic work, going into this match because again, like we were saying before, there was really no depth to Lyra Valkyria. All we saw was she had the bird wings, coming out to the ring and put on some decent matches, but there was really no depth of story. So now there is some depth because she has a history with her fellow countrywoman, Becky Lynch. You know what I mean? And the fact that there was history there, how she helped her. But, and, of course, Becky Lynch is saying, well, no, no, no. I'm the reason why you got here. And Lara Valkyria is like, no, you're not. I got myself here. So that's where the foundation was built. And you want to talk about a seesaw match. I mean, near fall after near fall after near fall after near fall. My God. Part of me didn't want the match to end because these two women were just giving it their all. And they had the fans in the palm of their hands. I really, really enjoyed it. And there was one near fall that I thought, ooh, did they kind of do a slip up? But that's the magic of pro wrestling. That was meant to happen. They wanted you to think that they messed up. But no, referee counted 2.99999 infinity. That's what the referee had counted. But nonetheless, Lara Valkyria did retain the Women's Intercontinental Championship. That match went 18 minutes and 45 seconds. My goodness. If there's a candidate for match of the year, later on down the line, we could have a deep discussion about that because that match was superb. Bravo, ladies. Bravo, bravo, bravo. All right. Next, we have the Intercontinental Champ. Oh, we go from one Intercontinental Championship to the other Intercontinental Championship, where Dominic Mysterio he defended the championship against Penta, and I understand what they're trying to do, and I'll get to it in just a second. The match was good. I mean, Dominic did a a suicide dive outside the ring onto Penta and turned it to a DDT, and I'm like, whoa, 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 wait a minute, where the hell did Dom get that from? But again, for those that have been sleeping on Dominic Mysterio, all this time, I think it's easy for him to boo because of the character. But let's not forget, this dude was training years and years and years before he even stepped foot in the WWE ring as an active WWE superstar. Before that match with Seth Rollins at SummerSlam 2020 during the pandemic, Dom had been training. I mean, training for quite a few years. So the fact that he's been able to hone his craft, in ring, but also develop on the character side, the sky's the limit for Dom. I really enjoyed this match. And as I predicted, he would win, and it was due to the outside interference of one El Grande Americano. Headbutted Penta, and Dominic gets the pin 1, 2, 3, 9 minutes, 20 seconds, and Dominic does retain. Now, I was kind of iffy about like why was the match so short, but it didn't need to be this long match. The point was getting a potential match with El Grande Americano and Penta at the Worlds Collide event next month in Los Angeles. That seems like the logical solution to get El Grande Americano wrestling these luchadors. And everyone thinks it's Chad. I mean, we all know it's Chad Gable, right? We all know it's Chad Gable, but we'll see. And maybe, just maybe, that could be a mask versus mask match. But we'll see what happens with that. I'm looking forward to it as the time moves forward and seeing when all the matches are going to be signed and announced within the coming days. I mean, June 7th will be here before you know it. So the co-main event was Gunther and Pat McAfee. The match went 14 minutes long. You know, I understood the purpose of the match. Obviously, Pat McAfee going to the aid of Michael Cole and all that stuff, and to build it to where Gunther was so upset that they were talking about him tapping out of WrestleMania. And man, let me tell you, this was just a dogfight. Well, it wasn't a street fight by any stretch, but I mean, just the chops and the kicks. I mean, they were laying them in. And I'm pretty sure there was some apologies said beforehand, before they went out there, and they just laid it in, and they really did. Pat McAfee, for those that know or don't know, I mean, he's had some banger matches. The match with Adam Cole, the match with Austin Theory at WrestleMania a couple of years ago. Like I mean, he has trained. I believe he trained with Rip Rogers at OVW, I believe. Maybe there or Heartland, I can't remember. But he has trained to wrestle before, so he knows what he's doing. And there were some folks online that felt that the match shouldn't have happened and that should have been for another wrestler. And I mean, yeah, but to me, it's like if it makes sense, book it, right? Because I mean, you don't put a match like that on Monday Night Raw. You don't put a match like that on SmackDown. You think he is an announcer stepping in the ring with one of the most dangerous men in the WWE. So that's something that you would put on a PLE or pay-per-view, as we like to say back in the day. But nonetheless, Gunther does submit Pat McAfee. Like I said, it was 14 minutes even, and they did give each other props, kudos after the match, which I thought was really respectful. I got to give props to Michael Cole being the Mickey to Pat McAfee's Rocky in the match, because he literally got off commentary and was like trying to, come on, Pat. And of course, Gunther ends up grabbing Michael Cole and brings him in the ring. It's about to clobber him, and of course, Pat McAfee's laying it into him after that. So, like I said, it was a nice story being told, and I don't know if we'll see Pat McAfee in the ring again, but I know he was sore as hell. He showed this part of his body. I mean, it was just beat red from all those chops. I mean, if you haven't seen Gunther's work when he was wrestling as Walter, in NXT UK or overseas when he was, before he got to the WWE, he was a chopping machine. Let me tell you, I wouldn't take a Gunther chop. I don't know. They would have to pay. There would need to be some zeros among zeros to take a chop from Gunther, because those things are lethal, man. All right, so we got the main event. John Cena and Randy Orton for the undisputed WWE Championship, and again, it was billed, the last time, and I mean, they went into what was really cool is that they went into the history of their first match in OVW and their most recent match, which took place in 2017. That was 8 years ago. It's crazy. And the fact that, Randy Orton and you figure 25 years later from the time that they met and they're wrestling one more time, is incredible. You know what I mean? It's so cool. It's so good to see. But again, thoughts of the match, it did what it was supposed to do. The match went 27 minutes and 50 seconds. There was a point in the match where the officials came in the ring, and I believe because there was so many referees that were knocked out. The main referee got knocked out. The second referee, of course, got the RKO from Randy, and you figure the officials come out. Nick Aldis comes out. He gets the RKO. Boom. Shane Helms, Hurricane, my boy, gets the RKO. Boom. Davari gets an RKO. Boom. And of course, we have Drake Maverick getting an RKO. Randy Orton was like Oprah. You get an RKO. You get an RKO. Everybody gets an RKO. I mean, man. And Randy was about to punt John Cena into smithereens. And John Cena's well, the guy that looks up to John Cena, R-Truth comes in the ring and tells him, "Don't do it, don't 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 do it." And what happens? He gets an RKO, and of course, John Cena gives him the low blow, hits him in the head with the belt, pins him 1, 2, 3, and John Cena retains the undisputed WWE Championship. And again, guys, he said it. And I know fans are like, "Oh, why does he have to win that way?" Because he's a heel. He said he's going to ruin wrestling. He is going to ruin the world of professional wrestling. That's what he's doing. And he gets on the microphone and he said just that. You know what I mean? And afterwards, during the media scrum, John Cena is at the podium. I think he actually interrupts Triple H. So Triple H gets up and John Cena is talking, and then R-Truth comes out of nowhere and he wants to, hey John, no, blah, blah, blah. And John Cena told him, if you don't get out of here, you're gonna pay for it. You're gonna regret it. And then R-Truth says something, and he just does an AA on the table at the media scrum. Oh my God! So it hasn't been signed yet, but there has been rumor that R-Truth is going to challenge John Cena at Saturday night's main event that's coming up at the end of this month down in Tampa. So, we'll see. We'll see what's going to happen, because I know there's already a championship match signed with Jey Uso and Logan Paul. That should be interesting. So, I'm looking forward to seeing how many matches are going to be on Saturday night's main event. It'll be really good to see, Jesse the Body Ventura return to Saturday night's main event. All right, before I get out of here, I want to remind you all once again to hit that subscribe button if you haven't done so already. You can get the D-Lew podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, Pandora, iHeartRadio, and also my YouTube channel. If you can go to YouTube and put in the search engine the D-Lew podcast, Derrick T. Lewis, or at the real DT Lew, hit the subscribe button, and not just hit subscribe, but make sure that you hit all, so you're getting all content every single time there's something new that's posted on the YouTube channel. You never know what you're going to get. You might get a YouTube exclusive too, so pay attention to that. My social media, you can hit up the D-Lew podcast at the D-Lew podcast on all social media platforms. You can reach out to me, Derrick T. Lewis, of course, on all social media platforms at the real DT Lew, with the exception of Facebook, which is Derrick T. Lewis official page. You can hit up my official stores. The one on Pro Wrestling Tees is pwt.derricklewis.com. You can also go to the Derrick T. Lewis official merchandise store at shop.derricklewis.com. And I have that Nike collection waiting for you. And as a matter of fact, I'm rocking some of that Nike collection. As you can see, the Just Do It tribute, but it does have the Nike official Nike swoosh on there. So make sure that you're hitting up my store. It's official, guys, because we're going straight to the top. That's all we're doing. Well, I'm going to get out of here. And as I always say, no matter what it is you do in life, always remember to make it count. See you next time.